Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'du. Then we are back with our book Al-Mulakhas al-Fiqhi min Ulum al-Imam al-Albani, the summarized fiqh from the works of the Imam al-Albani, Muhammad Nasir al-Din al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala. And this book was gathered by Abu Islam Sulaiman Mubarak from his students who passed away as well, rahimahullah ta'ala. We are in the book of Salat, Kitab al-Salat, and we have around 38 pages to go in this book. And inshallah ta'ala, we will complete it. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we will complete it in the next 2 weeks. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And the link, as always, is in the chat for those who want to join. I was not able to get in touch with anyone yesterday regarding this Sudur Qadamain, but we will continue to try today, inshallah ta'ala. This Fasl al-Thalith wal-Ishrun, the 23rd section. ثم يقوم إلى الركعة الثالثة. We were speaking about the tashahud. And then we said, and then he will stand, ثم يقوم, then he will stand إلى الركعة الثالثة, to the third rak'ah. ويصنع فيها كما صنع فيما قبلها. ويصنع فيها, and he will do in it, meaning the third rak'ah, كما صنع فيما قبلها, just like he did in the rak'ah before it, meaning he's going to recite al-Fatiha, and if he wishes he can recite a surah. ثم ينحد على صدور قدميه, and this is I think where my confusion was coming in. It's as if he went back some. It says ثم يقوم إلى ركعة الثالثة. Then he stands to the third rak'ah and he does what he does in it. He does in it just like he did in the rak'ah before it. But here he goes back to how to get up. So I think this is where my confusion is. So if we're sitting muftarishan, meaning the right foot propped up and the left foot spread out on the ground, ثم ينحض, then he goes to rise على صدور قدميه. He's not going to stay in that position. He's not going to stay with his left foot under him. Rather, he's going to place his 2 feet up, like in the iq'a position. Position. Then he's going to place his 2 feet up. وينحد على صدور قدميه في ركعة الأولى والثالثة. Then he's going to stand up on his feet, right? For the the first and the third rak'ah. And this is also confusing to me. This is also confusing to me where he says the first and the third rak'ah. I don't know why he says this. Right? وَيُكَبِّرُ وَيَرْفَعُ يَدَيْهِ in the takbir. And he makes the takbir and he raises his hand when he says the takbir. وَيَعْجِنُ, and he makes the fist and places them on the ground. إِذَا قَامَ لِرَكْعَتِ, when he stands up for the rak'ah. So he يَعْجِنُ, meaning he places his hands on the ground and pushes himself up. وَيَقْرَأُ الْفَاتِحَةَ فِي رَكْعَةِ الثَّالِثَةِ وَالرَّابِعَةِ, and he reads al-Fatiha in the third and the fourth rak'ah. Right? This is at least. ثم يجلس للتشهد الأخير, then he sits for the final tashahud. وهو ركن, and this tashahud is a rukn. The first tashahud is a wajib. The second or the last tashahud is a rukn. وَيَقْعُدُ فِيهِ مُتَوَرِّكًا. And he sits in it in the mutawarrik position. Mutawarrik is he's about to explain, right? Mutawarrik. Yufdi bi warakihi al yusra, right? So this warak is he takes his left, basically thigh or leg, buttocks, right? And he places it on the ground. Yusra ila al-ard. وَيُخْرِجُ قَدَمَيْهِ مِنْ نَاحِيَةٍ وَاحِدَةٍ. And his feet come out. وَيُخْرِجُ قَدَمَيْهِ. His 2 feet come out. مِنْ نَاحِيَةٍ وَاحِدًا. From one side. Meaning from the right side. وَيَجْعَلُ الْيُسْرَ تَحْتَ فَخِذِهِ وَسَاقِهِ. And he places his left leg or his left foot under his thigh and shin. I don't know if I can draw that. So if this is from the side or from the side. This is his leg and this is his right foot propped up. Right? Then his left foot is going to come out here.
Okay.
From the back. Then this is his right foot propped up. His left foot is going to come out here. Right?
Okay.
Underneath his thigh and shin.
Okay.
وَيَفْعَلُ كَمَا فَعَلَ فِي التَّشَهُدِ الْأَوَّلِ. And he does like he did in the Tashahud al-Awwal, meaning التحيات لله والصلاة الإبراهيمية. وَيَجِبُ. And it's obligatory. أن يستعيذ بالله, that he seek refuge in Allah, من أربع بعد الصلاة الإبراهيمية, that he seeks refuge in Allah from 4 after the Salat al-Ibrahimiyya. بقوله, how does he seek refuge in Allah from 4? He said with his statement, Allahumma, O Allah, inni, indeed I, a'udhu bika, I seek refuge in you, min adhabi jahannam, from the punishment of the hellfire. Wa min adhabil qabri, and from the punishment of the grave. Wa min fitnatil mahya, and from the trials of life, wal mamat, and death. Wa min sharri fitnati, and from the trial and from the evil trials of the Masih ad-Dajjal, of the Antichrist. ثُمَّ يَدْعُو لِنَفْسِهِ, and then he makes dua for himself. بِمَا بَدَى لَهُ, with what appears to him. مِمَّا ثَبَتَ فِي الْكِتَابِ وَالسُنَّةِ, from what is established in the book and the sunnah, meaning any dua that you find in the Quran or the sunnah, you can make dua with them here. فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ عِنْدَهُ شَيْءٌ مِنْهُ. So if there is not, فَإِن, so if لَمْ يَكُنْ, there is not, عِنْدَهُ, with him, شَيْءٌ, something, minhu, from that, meaning he doesn't have any dhikr, he has not memorized anything from the book or the sunnah. Da'a, then he makes dua, bima tayassara lahu, with what is easy for him, mimma yanfa'uhu, from what will benefit him, fi dinihi wa dunyahu, in his worldly life as well as his, or in his religion as well as his worldly life.
Okay.
ثم يسلم عن يمينه, and then he makes taslim on his right. وهو ركن, and you notice that he's talking about the taslim an yamin is a rukn. حتى يرى بياض خده الأيمن, until it is seen from him the whiteness of his right cheek. When he goes assalamu alaikum, you can see the right cheek. Those who are behind him.
Wow.
وعن يساره, and on his left, حتى يرى بياض خده الأيسر, and then he gives salams to his left until it is seen the whiteness of his left cheek. وَهُوَ عَلَى وُجُوهٍ. And this is going to take place. This taslim is going to take place upon a number of different ways. Wujuh here means ways. Al-awwal, the first one, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh an yaminihi. To say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh on his right. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah an yasarihi. And to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah without wa barakatuh on his left. That's the first one. الثاني مثله. The second one is similar to it. دون قوله وبركاته. Meaning he'll say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That's the second. الثالث, the third one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi an yaminihi. That he says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah on his right. Wassalamu alaikum faqat an yasarihi. Assalamu alaikum only on his left. والرابع, and the fourth one, يسلم تسليمة واحدة تلقاء وجهه. Then he gives one taslim, right? تلقاء وجهه يميل به إلى يمينه قليلا. So then he turns with his right to the right just a little bit. He doesn't go all the way to the right. He just turns to the right a little bit. Assalamu alaikum. He just leaves it like that. Assalamu alaikum to the right side only. So the four of them are again. The four of them. I'll just give an example. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The second one, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The third one, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. And the fourth one, Assalamu alaikum. Naam. وَالتَّسْلِيمُ هُوَ تَحْلِيلُ الصَّلَاةِ. And the taslim is the tahleel of salah. Tahleel here meaning the thing which makes things now permissible. Meaning now you can look at your phone, now you can talk, now you can laugh, now you can do certain things that you could not do inside of the salah. You can turn away from the qibla. This is like the halal, like the thing that makes things halal in the salah, of the salah, meaning after the salah. So the takbiratul ihtiram or takbiratul ihram, asif, I don't know why I said it like that. Takbiratul ihram, the takbir which makes things prohibited, right? And the taslim tahleel, the taslim which makes things permissible. What taslimatu thaniyatu sunnah, and the second taslim is sunnah, meaning to the left side is a sunnah, to the right side is obligatory, right? He said it is a rukn. Here he said it is a rukn. You must do this. As for the taslim to the left, هو سنة ويكون التسليم بالفم والوجه, and the taslim is with the mouth, الفم والوجه, and the face, right? وليس بتحويل الصدر والمنكب, and is not by turning the chest and the shoulders. As-salam, where we turn with our chest and our shoulders. It's just our face. وَكُلُّ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ صِفَةِ الصَّلَاةِ, and everything which is proceeded from the description of the salah, يَسْتَوِي فِيهِ الرِّجَالُ وَالنِّسَاءِ, then they are equal in it, the men and the women. All of this, the men and the women, they do it exactly the same. And with that, we finished the description of the salah in general. But there are still many more chapters. I think we said there are 70 chapters, I think, in this section. I'll go exactly to check. 72. But they are dealing with different parts of our types of salah. So here he says, وَسِيغُ الذِّكْرِ بَعْدَ صَلَاةِ الْمَفْرُودَةِ مُتَنَوِّعَةٌ. وَسِيغ, the siyag is the plural of sigha. Siyag means the wordings, the
Mm,
phrases, right? The way something is worded. Sigatun. Siyag, the wordings of the dhikr ba'da salat al-mafruda, after the obligatory prayer, mutanawi'atun, are many different types. وَلَا يُشْرَعُ الْجَهْرُ بِذِكْرِ بَعْدَ الصَّلَوَاتِ, and it is not legislated to be out loud with the dhikr after the prayers. And again, this is different in difference to Sheikh Uthaymeen and Sheikh bin Baz and other than them, but the Sheikh says it should not be done out loud.
mm,
وَيُسَنُّ التَّهْلِيلُ بَعْدَ صَلَاةِ الْفَجْرِ, and it is a sunnah to do this tahleel. I'll explain it in a minute. بعد صلاة الفجر, after صلاة الفجر, والمغرب, as well as صلاة المغرب, قبل أن يثني رجليه, before he moves his feet. Before he moves his feet from the position that they're in. Right? Is the sunnah to do this tahleel? What is this tahleel? Is to say 10 times لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. 10 times before you move your feet. Right? So you should stay in that sitting position at Salat al-Maghrib, Fajr and Maghrib until you do that 10 times.
Okay.
وَيَعْقِدُ الذِّكْرَ, this hadith is in the Tirmidhi. وَيَعْقِدُ الذِّكْرَ بَعْدَ الصَّلَاةِ, and it is a person will count, basically, he will count or establish the dhikr after the salat bi asabi'i yadihi, with the fingers of his hand. وَتَكُونُ بِالْيَدِ الْيُمْنَى, and that is with the right hand. وَالتَّسْبِيحُ بِالصُّبْحَةِ بِدْعَةٌ, and to make this dhikr with the dhikr beads, the subha, is an innovation. وَمَنْ كَانَ فِي عَجَلَةٍ مِنْ أَمْرِهِ, and whoever was in a rush from his affair, whoever's in a rush, بعد الصلاة, after salat, فَلَا يَتْرُكُ الْأَذْكَارَ, so then he does not leave off these adhkar, وَيَأْتِي بِهَا وَهُوَ يَمْشِي, rather he brings them, he says them while he's walking.
Oh.
He's not going to leave them off. Well, I wasn't able to say them sitting in tranquility, so I'm going to leave them. No, say them while you're walking, while you're on your way to your car, while you're in your car on your way to wherever you're rushing to.
Oh, mashallah. Is it allowed? Alhamdulillah.
Huh?
Is it allowed? Okay. Jazakallah khairan.
Oh, yeah.
You do it as card by walking. Okay.
No, Makid. The next section, Sabi wal Ishrun, Fasl Sabi wal Ishrun, Sabi wal Ishrun, the 27th section. Salatul Jama'ati wajibatun. Salat in congregation is an obligation. Ala kulli man yasma'ul adhana at-tabi'i. On everyone who hears the adhan, the natural adhan. Everyone who hears the natural adhan, meaning without the microphone and so on. Hatta ala darir. Hatta ala darir. A darir is the blind person. Even the blind person has to come if he hears the adhan.
Ustaz, sorry to cut you off because I have a question before in the last section. I thought it was mentioned here, but it is not mentioned. So I wanted to ask one question. Is it okay?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Also zikra. Allahumma inni ala dhikri wa husni.
Ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husna ibadatik.
Yeah. This one I hear two opinions that you should say it before the taslim or after the taslim. I'm confused there. I thought maybe
in these types of affairs, it says fi dubur salat.
Yeah.
Meaning at the end of salat. Some people understand dubur to mean after salat. Some people mean it to say before the taslim. Allahu alam. Allahu alam. It seems to mean to me, and what I understand in looking at it, before the taslim. However, in this affair is room for disagreement.
Okay.
So if a person does it, if a person does it before the taslim, then go, great. And if he does it after the taslim, then fine. Okay. But after the taslim is not after the taslim mubashiratan, right away, because after the taslim mubashiratan is astaghfirullah, 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 like this. But if a
Yeah.
person makes it part of his dua or adhkar after salat, fine. But if he makes it in the salat, this seems to be, and Allah knows best what is correct.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you.
But this word dubur salat is where the disagreement comes from.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
No.
Jazakallah
So
khairan.
so we're talking about the jama'at. He says, وَتَسْقُطُ الْجَمَاعَةُ عِنْدَ الْحَرَجِ, and the jama'at falls off, meaning the obligation to attend the jama'at falls off in the haraj if there is some difficulty, wal marad or sickness, wal matar or rain, wal bard shadid or extreme cold, wal thalj or snow, wa an al mar'ati, and upon a woman she does not have to attend the jama'at, wa an al musafir, and on the traveler, illa, except in kanu jama'atan, except if he is with a jama'at, if he is traveling with a jama'at, فَيُصَلُّونَ مَعَ بَعْضِهِمْ جَمَاعَةً, then they pray together as a jama'at. وَتُكْرَهُ الْجَمَاعَةُ الثَّانِيَةُ, and it is disliked to pray a second jama'at في مسجد, in a masjid, له إمام راتب وله مؤذن راتب, that has an imam, a regular imam and a regular mu'adhin. It is disliked to pray a second jama'at in that masjid.
Oh, I see. Here in Japan, our massages are too small, so they pray Juma on Friday, like 3 times. Most of the masajid.
No. No. But this isn't just talking about Jummah, it's talking about congregation in general. But
Okay.
the ulama they used to say that it's not permissible to make more than one Jummah in a masjid. And then when COVID came and then all these questions were coming with taba'ud, with the distancing and everything, then they started to give the fatwa that if there is truly a need for it, then do so. However, if you read the books of the Salaf, and they talk about even a second Jummah in another masjid in the same city would be impermissible.
Oh.
Right? And their speech about it is very, very rough. So if the masjid's not big enough, fine. But if they're doing it to accommodate the people, or because some people they get their lunch at 11 and some people get their lunch at 12:30, and this is not acceptable. But if it's for truly because there's not enough space, then Allah knows best. May Allah accept from them. Al-Fasl al-Thamin wal-Ishrun, the 28th section. Yajibu waslu sufufi fil masjidi. It is obligatory to connect the rows in the masjid. Waslu sufuf. It is to connect them, to have them close together. Wa yajibu taswiyatuha, and it is obligatory to straighten them. Wa tarasu, and to bring the rows close together. So the first one, wusul, means not to have, so the imam is here, and then back here is another row, and there's enough room for another row. No, we're not going to have the rows far apart, right? Mm-hmm. Likewise, the imam is not going to be far from the people. The imam should not be here while the people are way back here. No. If there's room for rows here, then we pray here. There's no separation like that between the rows. وَيَجِبُ تَسْوِيَتُهَا, and they should be straight, not crooked. Right? And the only way to straighten them up is by lining up the heels. Right? Lining up the heels. Lining up the toes, the rows will not be straight. What tarasu, meaning to bring them people together, close to one another. What takunu, and that will be by bilasqi al-mankib bil-mankib, and that is by touching the shoulder to the shoulder. Wa hafat al-qadam bil-qadam, and the edge of the foot with the foot. So the feet are touching one another. Wa hiya min mahammil imam, and this is from the affairs that the imam should be giving importance to. This is from the affairs that the imam should be dealing with. He's the one who straightens the rows or tells someone to straighten the rows, right? Not that you should tell somebody, you come forward, you come back, unless you know the person, unless it's your son or something like that, someone that you're teaching a prayer, but the imam should be straightening the people out.
Mm.
Otherwise, I've seen before, like a brother straightens a person next to him out, and then the imam comes along and changes him and puts him back and then moves him, right? Let the imam do his job,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Mm.
ولا يكبر الإمام. An imam does not make takbir بعد أن تقام الصلاة, after the salat has been called, the iqamah has been called and established, إلا بعد أن يسوي الصفوف, except after he straightens the rows. And this is a mistake that we find most imams committing today. They just start the prayer and they do not straighten the rows. They tell the people, some people don't even tell them straighten the rows. And if
Mm.
they say straighten the rows, they don't give them time to straighten the rows. And they say, but the rows are long and the people will complain. Who cares what the people will complain? This is why the ummah is in the condition that it's in now, because we don't take time to straighten the rows. Also, wasaddul faraj. This will be by saddul faraj, by closing the gaps. Lahu fadlu. Lahu fadlun. It has a great virtue, right? The virtue is that Allah will and his angels will send salah upon you, as well as he won't change your faces into that of donkeys. Wala buddha min al-leeni fi salah, and no doubt, wala buddha, and there's no doubt, min al-leen, from this gentleness in salah, meaning with your shoulders. Shouldn't be rough and tough on the next person. Shouldn't be pushing and squeezing. Shouldn't be tough on the other person. Should be flowing with the person, working with them.
Mm.
وَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ فُرْجَةً, and whoever doesn't find a space, في الصف الأول, in the first saf, يُصَلِّي خَلْفَ الصَّفِّ, he prays behind the saf, وَلَا يَجْذِبُ أَحَدٍ مِنَ الصَّفِّ, and he does not pull anyone back from the row. وَلَا يَجْذِبُ, meaning he does not pull him back. Ahadin min as-saf, from the saf. So he doesn't pull someone back so that he's not by himself and then leave a gap in the row. Walahu, and it's permissible for him, an yantadhira ahadin, to wait for someone, fayusalli ma'ahu, and then pray with him. فَإِنْ خَشْيَ فَوَاتَ salati, but if he fears that he's going to miss the prayer, la rakata, not that he's going to miss the rak'ah, but he's going to miss the prayer, salla munfaridan, then he prays by himself, meaning in the row. He prays by himself in the row. وَصَلَاتُهُ صَحِيحَةٌ, and his salah is correct. Illa, except in wajada furjatan, except if there is a gap that is there. وَلَمْ يُصَلِّ فِيهَا, and he did not pray in it. فَصَلَاتُهُ بَاطِلَةٌ, then his salah is batil. It's false. Because he could have filled the gap. The Prophet ﷺ said there's no prayer by a person in a row by himself. However, if he doesn't have the ability to pray except that, then that's different. وَالنِّسَاءُ تَصُفُّ لِوَحْدِهِنَّ, and the women, then they line up by themselves. وَرَاءَ الرِّجَالِ, behind the men. وَلَا بَأْسَ مِنْ وُقُوفِ الصِّبْيَانِ, and there's no problem from standing the children مع الرجال, along with the men, إذا كان في الصف متسع, if there is space for that in the rows. If there is space for that in the rows, no problem with setting the children along with the men. A lot of people say that you should put the children in between the men, because if you leave the children all by themselves in a row behind the men, in front of the women, they ain't gonna do nothing but play. But if you put them in between the men, then they'll pray because they know they have a man on each side of them.
Okay.
وَالصَّلَاةُ خَلْفَ الْإِمَامِ.
Ustaz, once I hear one sheikh say that if you put a kid without no wudu between the row, it's going to break the row. But I don't know if that's true or not.
This is possible. Of course, the young children,
Mhm.
The young children, maybe they don't line up for prayer at all. But those who have
Mm.
some sense and they start to know how to make wudu and they
Yeah.
start to have some tamyiz to them and they start to have this, then you can put them, of
Okay.
course.
Okay. Allah.
But to put a little 2-year-old who is spoiling his diaper still and stuff like this, then this is different.
Okay. Allah barik.
وَالصَّلَاةُ خَلْفَ الْإِمَامِ يَمْنَةً وَيَسْرَةً, and salat behind the imam to the right and to left. فَكُلُّهَا سَوَاءٌ, then all of that is equal. This is a strange position of the sheikh. And I did not go to see the what he said about this, but I will, inshallah. وَلَا يُوجَدُ فَضْلٌ فِي مَيْمَنَةِ الصُّفُوفِ, and there is no virtue on the right side of the rows.
Oh, Ustad, can you explain it again? I didn't get it.
وَالصَّلَاةُ خَلْفَ الْإِمَامِ, and prayer behind the imam, يَمْنَةً وَيَسْرَةً, on the right or the left, فَكُلُّهَا سَوَاءٌ, then all of that is equal. وَلَا يُوجَدُ فَضْلٌ فِي مَيْمَنَةِ الصُّفُوفِ, there is no virtue in being on the right side of the imam. Many people think that the right side there is the virtue. The sheikh
Okay.
here says no. There is no virtue between the right side or the left side. The right side and the left side behind the imam is equal.
Okay.
وَإِذَا تَمَّ رَجُلٌ بِرَجُلٍ, and if it's just a man leading another man, it temma, meaning he's leading. Rajulun bi rajulin. One man is leading just one man, so there's just two of them. Waqafa an yaminihi, he prays on his right side, muhadhiyan lahu, equal with him and close to him. So they pray in a straight row. There's two of them. This is their feet, right? They pray next to each other, right? Maybe I make their feet separate. Who knows? This is one person's feet. That's the imam's feet. This is the person who's following. Not as some people do where they pray back here, right? Behind
Yeah.
the imam. If there's just two of them, they pray equal. This hadith is in Bukhari.
Okay.
وَالْمَرْأَةُ تُصَلِّيَ خَلْفَ الْإِمَامِ, and the woman, she prays behind the imam, وَلَوْ كَانَتْ وَحْدَهَا, even if she's by herself. She's in a row by herself, no problem. She prays behind the imam.
Okay.
وَلَا يَجُوزُ التَّقَدُّمُ عَلَى الْإِمَامِ إِلَّا عِنْدَ الْحَاجَةِ, and there is not permissible to تَقَدُّمْ عَلَى الْإِمَامِ, to basically to establish the salat before he comes. Right? Except if there is a need. وَالصَّلَاةُ صَحِيحَةٌ, and the salat is acceptable. Oh, this is taqaddum, Asif. This means to come forward before him a little bit. He does not come before him, right? Except if there is a need. وَالصَّلَاةُ صَحِيحَةٌ, and the salat is acceptable. وَإِذَا قَامَ الْإِمَامُ لِلْخَامِسَةِ, and if the imam stands for a fifth rak'ah, sahiyan, forgetfully, يُتَابَعُ مِنَ الْمَأْمُومِينَ, then he's followed by those followers, meaning you follow him in that. You follow him in that because the imam is meant to be followed.
Okay.
وَيُسَنَّ الْفَتْحُ عَلَى الْإِمَامِ, and it is the sunnah to make this fath, meaning here to correct him. To correct the imam إِذَا تُرْجَى عَلَيْهِ فِي الْقِرَاءَةِ, if he is like mistaken and confused in his recitation. And of course, we said that this is if we know the imam is wanting to complete the Quran in a certain way, or if you find him, he doesn't know what to say next. And he doesn't just move on, but he doesn't know what to say. He's confused and he's waiting for someone to correct him. It's sunnah for someone to help him out. وَيَؤُمُ الْقَوْمَ أَقْرَأُهُمْ, and أَقْرَأُهُمْ, the most memorized of them, leads the people. أقرأهم لكتاب الله, the one who has the most reading, meaning the most memorization of the book of Allah. This is the one who will lead the people in the salah.
نعم.
فإن كانوا في القراءة سواء, and if they are equal in recitation, فأعلمهم بسنة, then the one who is most knowledgeable in the sunnah. فإن كانوا في السنة سواء, and if they are in the sunnah equal, فأقدمهم هجرة, then the one who is oldest or one who made the hijrah first. فإن كانوا في الهجرة سواء, and if they are equal in hijrah, فأكبرهم سنا, then the oldest of them. ولا فرق بين العربي والعجمي, and there's no difference between an Arab or a non-Arab. وأكمل أن يقرأ الإمام من حفظه, and it is more complete and it is better for the Imam to read from his memory. وليس من المصحف في الصلاة, and not from the mushaf in salah. فمن قرأ من المصحف, so whoever read from the mushaf, خالف السنة, then he has opposed the sunnah. والصلاة صحيحة, but the salah is correct.
Okay.
We'll stop here, inshallah, even though we didn't do a lot of time. We've read a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll stop here
Jazakallah.
and make it an easy day for us, inshallah. جزاكم الله خيرا.
Jazakallah.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاك الله خيرا.